Hello, it's Jim Wade. I'm a tax attorney here in Maine, and this is my second episode regarding IRS tax levies, specifically the impact of a tax levy on you and your property. If you've missed my first video, you can go back to that and just sort of get an idea what levies are. But as a quick intro, a levy is a seizure of your assets, unlike an IRS tax lien, which is just a claim against your property. The IRS doesn't actually take your property with a lien, but they can with a levy. So let's start with tax levies. Oftentimes people come to my office and talk about how unfair the IRS seizing their assets are. Um, Tax levies are meant to hurt. In the last video, we talked about the process of the letters being sent out by the IRS and how they get progressively more aggressive, requesting that you work something out to get your taxes resolved. The tax levy doesn't sort of happen automatically when you owe something. You have to have ignored the IRS for it to happen. Now, some of you listening to this may be in the category, we'll call them a small minority of people who moved or whose address, maybe there's a mistake, and they didn't receive the letters. But for everyone else, typically you've received the notices. And I understand, life happens. The IRS tends to take the back seat compared to all your other woes, such as whether it be at work or with other bill collectors. But if you ignore them long enough, they will seize your assets. So the levy is meant to hurt, to encourage you to do something about it. Now, if you can't full pay, that's okay. There are payment options available to you. But this is meant to make you do something. You can do an offer in compromise where you try to settle your tax debt, file bankruptcy to see if they can't be discharged. You can get into a payment plan, or you can request hardship status. Those are all things available to you to get it resolved. If you don't actually owe the money, you can take, there's several different means by which you can challenge the IRS tax assessment, but meant to hurt, to get you to act. So levies come in two different flavors, as it were. There is a regular levy and a continuous levy. The difference is very important if you're someone who is a commissioned employee, well, I shouldn't say employee, but if you receive commissions, whether as a contractor or as an employee, that can be very problematic. Same as if you receive Social Security benefits, because a continuous levy, once it happens, it's been placed on those commissions or benefits, it stays until the tax debt is paid off or the IRS can no longer collect against a tax debt. There is a statute of limitations, meaning the IRS has about 10 years to collect a tax debt. Once that 10 years expires, the levy will expire as well, except for Social Security benefits. If it latches onto Social Security benefits, they can keep taking it even after the 10 years. So small digression, but very important for those of you who get Social Security benefits. But for everybody else, a levy is a one-time event. For example, the most common levy is a bank levy. You basically will get a contact from your bank, whether by letter, by phone call, saying, hey, the IRS levied your account. The IRS will reach into your account and take whatever's in there at that time that the levy is sort of put into action by the bank. Because the way it works logistically, bank gets notice by IRS that they want to levy any account under your Social Security at their bank. Bank will then go, okay, what's in the bank account as of the time of this levy, whatever date and hour they received it, that amount will be set aside. And we'll talk in the next episode how to deal with it if you want to get that money back. But if money comes in afterwards, whether it be from you making a deposit or your salary and wages are deposited in the account, that will be untouched because it is after the levy was sort of put into action. Same thing goes with third-party levies. If you've got customers, clients, or patients where they owe you money and the IRS sends them a levy notice, whatever's on hand as far as what's owed to you by them, they're going to pay over. But if you do work later down the road where they again, will owe you money for work you've done. That levy does not apply to that additional future earnings. So regular, continuous. Regular is a one-time, sort of just happens one-off. Continuous, once it's in place, it will continue to be there until paid off. I did put in wages and salary. If you get a garnishment order by the IRS against your wages or salary, that is a continuous levy. All right. Now, the IRS, if there is a levy, doesn't mean they can get at everything. But I'm going to go right to that last sort of section there. Very few things cannot be seized in an asset seizure. But there are some things. Generally, everything's open season for the IRS. But your fuel, heating fuel, food in the refrigerator, furniture in your house, personal effects, up to $6,250 is protected. Same thing if you are like a trades, you have a trade or sort of something where you have tools that you use in your work, that's protected to $3,000 roughly. Unemployment benefits, workers' comp, public assistance, those benefits are not subject to levy, as is a very small amount from your wages, salaries, or other income. So if you're an employee and you get a wage garnishment, there's an actual form your employer will fill out to see how much they need to pay you. And this is after withholding for taxes and anything like child support payments and things like that. So it tends to be a very small amount. So the IRS can get at just about everything. Your house, your cars, your boats, your retirement accounts, your stocks, bonds, those sorts of things. They can come right after it. If you get an inheritance, they can get that too. So there's a lot that they can get. So let's talk about Dave real quick. As you remember from last episode, Dave, he is self-employed. He has his own manufacturing company where he has 4 people who are working for him to fabricate what he's selling. When he was hit with a bank levy, that clearly was money that was at risk. But based on what I've just told you, he was also receiving Social Security benefits. So that levy could have also hit that. Now, at the time that he got that levy, it didn't, but certainly we wanted to resolve this immediately because they could reach those Social Security benefits. They also could go after money that was due him from customers. Now, all things being equal, your customer, clients, or patients shouldn't care whether the money goes to you or the IRS. But realistically, when someone gets a third-party levy notice, they don't want to do business with you anymore. They fear you as a risk. Because if, let's say, money is owed to you and they don't pay it over to the IRS per the levy, they themselves could be responsible for what wasn't paid over. So they very quickly will distance themselves from you until it gets resolved. And finally, Dave had a home. So his home was at risk. So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about what we did to resolve Dave's situation. But I hope you get from this video all that the IRS can reach with with a tax levy. So it's a serious situation and you want to get it resolved. So I guess I jumped ahead a little bit there, but no worries. We'll be talking about how to respond to a levy. And in the final episode, we'll be talking about what you can do to avoid a levy in the future. All right, if you have questions about what I talked about today, or just general questions about tax levies, certainly feel free to contact me. My information is right there. Thank you very much.